Jessica, I just wondered what the initial attraction was of Drew Goddard's screenplay, what you felt when you read it for the first time.
Well, I was so excited about the zero gravity work that I was going to get to do. I had just seen Interstellar, and I saw Annie and Matthew floating around in zero gravity, and I thought, that looks really fun. And then, like a week later, this film presented itself to me, and I went and had a meeting with Ridley and loved him. I mean, I love him as a filmmaker, but then I also loved him as a person. And I was really excited to play this role.
And what about the zero gravity movement? It looks brilliant in the film, the effects, and you wouldn't know that there are any wires present at all, would you? But what was it like from your perspective?
It's a team of people. It was fun. It's like being a kid, like on a swing, but there was a team of people involved in help choreograph and create the movement, because I had 4 wires, and I had a double who did it, who like kind of mapped it out for me, and then I had to learn from her so that way I could follow the timing of what the guys were doing when they were moving me around, and then make it look like the movement was being initiated from me, but I couldn't really push off because then I'd swing on the wires, so I had to do, it was a whole miming, it was like a dance.
And you have a dance background, I think, too.
Yeah, so I loved it.
And what about wearing the big sort of white spacesuit? I think Ridley referred to it as the doughboy. What was that like to wear?
Yeah, we were like Pillsbury Doughboys. Matt was calling it, he said, that he felt like a baby in the suit because you couldn't do anything on your own. You always needed people, to come take your helmet off or to give you a sip of water or whatever. Sometimes my nose itches, like my face gets itchy if I have like a little piece of hair or something, around in my eye. And sometimes wearing the helmet and being on the wires, you can't really do anything about it. You can't touch your face. So I got really good at like figuring out how to like scratch my face on the inside of the helmet. But you do feel a bit helpless, like a baby.
And how about that storm sequence? It looks very impressive on screen. What was that like in your
That was really tough to shoot because those first of all, the surface suits were very uncomfortable, and the air, we each had our own air system, but sometimes the air would just turn off. And we wouldn't know when it was turning off. We would just be breathing the same kind of air, which means we're not getting oxygen anymore. And I remember the first take we did, I had no air in my suit, and I just was like breathing very, very heavily, and I started to feel really wobbly, and I realized it was all condensation on the inside, and they had to fix it real quick.
Gosh, yeah, no oxygen alert sort of siren going off like in the real suits.
No siren.
And I mean, the film looks so authentic. What did you find most helpful in your research, and what did you admire about the NASA people who you met?
Yeah, well, I really use this film as an opportunity to learn more about NASA and space exploration. It's something I'm very interested in. So I went to JPL in Pasadena and saw like the twin of the Curiosity rover that's up there now on Mars, and saw them doing research and testing the wheels and such, and I did a virtual reality of what it would be like to be on Mars. And then I went to NASA in Houston and met with Tracy Caldwell Dyson, who's an astronaut, done 3 spacewalks, 188 days up there, and she took me through the training facilities, and I used her as an inspiration for my character.
And how about Matt Damon, his performance in the film? What did you sort of admire about that?
His performance is wonderful. I think, Matt, he really is the perfect combination of being a movie star and a character actor. Usually those things are separate, but I've loved his work throughout his whole career, and the fact that he can play Bourne and then he can do like Behind the Candelabra or The Informant, and you think, how is this the same person? And he's so moving in this movie.
And just finally, Commander Lewis picks disco music and Happy Days episodes to take into space with her. What would your selection be if you were going for a long mission?
I would definitely bring Beatles' Revolver album. I would bring Breaking Bad. I would bring the complete works of William Shakespeare. I don't really know what else, but those are 3 things that would be really important to me up there.
Good choices, Jessica Chastain. Thanks very much. Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey!